We're sorry. They weren't you.
Welcome to Media Watch. I'm Jonathan Holmes. This week we're departing from our usual format. The Sunday before last, as everyone now knows, News Limited papers published pictures that purported to be of a young Pauline Hanson. Pictures which Sydney's Sunday Telegraph yesterday admitted are a fraud. It's one of the most spectacular examples of lousy journalism we've seen in Australia for quite a while. This week we're going to spend the programme looking at how it happened. It's a tawdry business. No one comes out of it with any credit, least of all the Sunday Telegraph. A week ago, editor Neil Breen had this to say about his decision to print the pictures.
I knew on Saturday, when I had those photos, and I knew that if I publish something like that and they're wrong, then I'm in huge trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'd say Mr. Breen's job right now is hanging by a thread. Yesterday he wrote,
Pauline, I'm sorry. We should never have published them.
But the Sunday Telly dumps most of the blame on the man who claims to have taken the pictures, former soldier Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson exposed.
Hanson pics were one giant con.
And what convinced the Sunday Telly that Johnson is a fraud? Well, this.
The Sunday Telegraph has learned Johnson not only offered purported photographs of Ms Hanson to paparazzi agent Jamie Fawcett, but at the same time said he had similar photographs of another prominent Australian woman posing in lingerie. This new information makes it clear that Johnson is a con man.
And in his editorial, Neil Breen blames the middleman who sold the pictures to his paper.
The broker, Jamie Fawcett, did not disclose this vital information to the Sunday Telegraph. If he did, the paper's approach to the pictures would have been quite different.
So it was all other people's fault. But as we'll show tonight, that simply won't wash. It all began about 2 weeks ago. Jack Johnson had been looking for someone to help him sell the pictures he claimed were of Pauline Hanson. He was put in touch with this man.
We managed to get Lachlan and Sarah Murdoch, Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman. So people think that the Harbour's going to provide them with privacy, but we're always looking.
Jamie Fawcett, Sydney's most notorious paparazzo. The man who, a judge found in a defamation action last year, planted a listening device outside Nicole Kidman's home. Jamie Fawcett met Jack Johnson on Thursday, March the 12th. Johnson showed him the pictures on a laptop. Fawcett was interested. At that stage, Johnson wanted to remain anonymous. That same day, Fawcett commissioned a former Fleet Street veteran, Frank Thorne, to interview Johnson and write a story to sell alongside the pictures. On Friday, March the 13th, Thorne interviewed Johnson at length and taped at least some of the interview. Thorne tried to persuade Johnson that he couldn't maintain his anonymity.
My other reservation about this is that whoever we go to with this, they're really going to want you to front it up. They're not going to pay for an anonymous interview.
This is starting to worry me a lot, because this is a hell of a lot different from what Jamie was saying yesterday. He was saying yesterday it can all be done anonymous. Now
well, I don't see how. I mean, he never asked me that.
Well, see, that was a deal breaker. That's what I told Jamie yesterday.
Frank Thorne persisted, and then Jack Johnson made an amazing claim.
When we go to a magazine, say we go to Zoo magazine, their lawyers are going to poo themselves. They're not just going to print this.
Why do you think I'm not painting out the photos of...
And Johnson named a prominent Australian woman. She's already been named by one newspaper this morning, but there's no need for us to drag her name into it further. The point is this. The claim is patently absurd, and anyone who knew that Johnson had made it would treat anything else he said with deep suspicion. The tape continues.
She's recruiting for the Sultan of Brunei, and that ex-military guys and all that sort of thing, and that's how I got to meet her. I got her sitting there with nice negligee and all the rest of it, and all the stuff that I got her. I've actually destroyed all those.
How convenient. Jack Johnson has told Media Watch that he never made the claim and that the tape has been manipulated. I've listened to the entire tape, and I believe it's authentic. That same day, Frank Thorne called Jamie Fawcett, who was in Melbourne. He's told Media Watch,
I told Jamie that the story wasn't straightforward. We couldn't corroborate anything.
and we had a lot more work to do. Jamie said he had to go and hung up on me.
But Thorne didn't tell Fawcett about Jack Johnson's claims to have pictures of the other woman. And his doubts didn't stop him writing a lurid story, which he sent to Jack Johnson for approval 3 days later.
Their steamy summer nights of passion turned into a raunchy photo shoot, with the sultry young Pauline posing in black see-through lingerie and eventually shedding her clothes and posing totally naked for her new boyfriend, then a hunky Johnny Weissmuller lookalike.
Jack Johnson didn't approve the story, but by then events had made Frank Thorne's efforts irrelevant. At 8:30 on Saturday morning, Jamie Fawcett sent this email to Steve Morehouse, picture editor at the Sunday Telegraph.
Please find enclosed images of Pauline Hanson. Of course, there is a story attached to these images. Let me know if interested, and we will talk.
The Sunday Telegraph bit immediately. Just 2 hours later, Jack Johnson received an email from Jamie Fawcett with a formal offer for the pictures.
We guarantee a minimum of $10,000. You will need to sign a statutory declaration attesting to the fact that you took the pictures on a certain day, that the pictures are yours and are not altered or manipulated in any way, and that you are prepared to be interviewed about the circumstances, and that you still find Ms Hanson desirable as discussed with the writer.
The issue of anonymity seems to have been swept aside. Fawcett added,
It is now possible to do this deal today, with News Limited agreeing to the above.
Less than an hour later, Jack Johnson emailed high-resolution digital images of the pictures directly to the Sunday Telegraph.
I am forwarding these pictures to you without the copyright notice attached. As I understand, there is a deal set in concrete.
The Sunday Telly was determined to publish the pictures next day. That afternoon, Jack Johnson was interviewed by telephone by reporter Nick Lees. It was all done on deadline day. Jamie Fawcett admits he too knew that Johnson claimed to have taken pictures of the other prominent woman. He didn't tell the Telegraph, he says, because he wasn't asked. It wasn't his job. As he emailed Steve Morehouse later,
I simply effected an introduction over the telephone. We made no warranties concerning the authenticity of his story or the images, which are intertwined together.
But the Sunday Telegraph was in such a hurry, it checked almost nothing for itself. It didn't insist on a stat dec from Jack Johnson. No one checked Johnson's military record. No one checked whether the Pelican Beach Resort existed in the mid-1970s. The paper tried but failed to talk to Pauline Hanson. Despite all that, the next morning, News Limited Sunday papers across Australia went big.
Uncovered!
Please explain. Hanson ex-lover's intimate betrayal.
News Limited sold a lot of papers that day. But the next morning, the story started to come unstuck.
The truth is, that is not me in those photos.
Pauline Hanson's rebuttal was detailed and convincing. But that afternoon, Sunday Telly editor Neil Breen boasted to Sevens Today Tonight about the technical tests the paper had done on Jack Johnson's pictures.
We're able to strip pictures back, we're able to cut them back to their rawest form, we're able to check the pixels.
But what was Neil Breen's fancy technology examining? Well, not the original slides that Jack Johnson claimed to have taken. All they had were digital scans he'd sent them. Only after publishing the pictures did the Sunday Telegraph start trying to lay its hands on the slides. On Tuesday, picture editor Steve Morehouse emailed Jack Johnson.
G'day, Jack. Hope you're all well, mate. Could you please call me, read your original slides? Mate, no drama. I just want to see them, please.
But by this time, Johnson had been hidden away by Sevens Today Tonight and was talking to no one else. On Monday, he'd been shown with his face concealed. On the Tuesday, he fronted up full face to David Richardson.
Did you take those photographs of the girl called
Absolutely.
Pauline? Are those photos off a Russian dating site?
No.
Are they from the internet?
No, they didn't come from a website. They come from slides.
But where were the slides? By now, News Limited was getting frantic. Next day, last Wednesday, Fawcett emailed Jack Johnson.
We have been trying to contact you without success. Imagine our surprise when we saw you on Today Tonight last night. Again, talking about the images and the transparencies, slides we still need to see. and you promised to provide.
An hour later, Steve Morehouse at the Sunday Telly sent a text message to Jack Johnson's mobile.
Mate, I stopped your payment this morning till we eyeballed the original slides. I just need to see them, not take them. Please, call me.
Johnson tells Media Watch that he did call Morehouse to tell him he'd sent the slides by mail to Jamie Fawcett the previous Friday. Jamie Fawcett vehemently denies he received them. He told Media Watch,
"I've never cited the original photos."
It now seems possible that the slides never existed. It's astonishing that the Sunday Telegraph didn't insist on seeing them and analysing them before rushing into print. Meanwhile, Sunday Telly reporter Jennifer Sexton was trying to wheedle Jack Johnson into giving another interview.
It's extremely important that we stick together. I know you've had a terrible time this week, and I feel for your situation. I believe you are genuine in what you have said. Help me, help you. Talk to me, and we will work through this.
That Wednesday, Jack Johnson confessed to Today Tonight that he'd been a fool.
I can't get any stupider. I'm a bag in my own mind now for getting myself into this.
It took the Sunday Telegraph 3 more days to realise that it had been even stupider. On Saturday, it became aware of Jack Johnson's claims about the other woman. They revealed him to be a fantasist. It was the last straw. The paper changed its early editions to publish this.
Johnson's story falls to pieces.
Our apology to Pauline Hanson.
The Sunday Telegraph has dumped on Jack Johnson. It's dumped on Jamie Fawcett. It's refused to pay either of them a cent. It's tried to deflect the blame from its own appalling sloppiness and greed. Neil Breen does at least admit,
"But we are responsible for our actions."
I couldn't agree more. Tomorrow, John Hartigan, chairman of News Limited, will open a conference on press freedom, convened by a coalition of Australia's big media operators. It's called Australia's Right to Know. Great timing. Many more details and documents on our website. Next week, we'll be back to our normal format. Join me then.